I traveled miles in the cold night just to surprise her on her birthday, holding a small cake in my hands, but when she opened the door, she looked at me in silence and closed it without saying a word. I need to get this out before I lose my mind completely. 3 months ago, I was planning a surprise for my girlfriend Sarah's 25th birthday. We'd been together 4 years. I had the ring hidden in my sock drawer. I was gonna propose on Christmas. Now I'm sitting in a studio apartment that smells like cigarettes and regret, typing this at 3 a.m. because I can't sleep anymore. It started with Emma from work, new marketing coordinator fresh out of college, all bright smiles and energy that made our office feel less dead. I told her it was just friendly conversation, just being welcoming to the new person. Sarah had been stressed about her master's thesis, coming home exhausted, falling asleep on the couch most nights. We hadn't been physical in weeks. I felt invisible in my own relationship. Emma laughed at my jokes. She stayed late, asked for help with projects that put us alone in the conference room. I knew what was happening. I knew and I let it happen anyway. "We're so much more interesting than the other guys here," she said one Thursday evening, her hand lingering on my shoulder as she leaned over to look at my computer screen. I should have gone home. Should have talked to Sarah about how distant we'd become. Instead, I suggested grabbing drinks to discuss the Henderson account. 2 drinks became 4. 4 became her apartment. Her apartment became the biggest mistake of my. I told it was just once, just a moment of weakness that I'd never repeat. I'd be better to Sarah, more attentive, she'd never know, and I'd spend the rest of our lives making it to her without her even knowing why. But Emma texted the next day, and the day after. Sweet messages that made me feel wanted again. Made me feel like I mattered to someone. "Last night was amazing. When can I see again?" I stared at that text for 20 minutes during my lunch break. Sarah had packed me a sandwich with a little note that said, "Love, have a great day." Her handwriting was getting messier lately because of all the writing she was doing for her thesis. I deleted Emma's message without responding, but she caught me by the elevator that afternoon. "Did get my text? Are okay. We can't do this," I whispered, looking around to make sure no one could hear. "I have a girlfriend. I shouldn't have, but did," she said softly, and I could tell wanted to. I could tell not happy. Those words hit like a, someone saw my unhappiness. Someone understood. 3 weeks. That's how long I convinced I was handling it. Keeping things professional while Emma sent me looks across meetings. While she found excuses to work late when I did. While I started lying to Sarah about overtime and client dinners. Sarah noticed I was distant but attributed it to work stress. She made my favorite dinner. Bought me a massage gift certificate. Left encouraging notes in my briefcase. Each kindness was in my chest, but somehow it also made Emma's attention feel more necessary. More justified. Sarah was being nice because she felt sorry for me. Emma wanted me because she saw something in me worth wanting. The second time happened after a work happy hour. Emma had worn this dress that made it impossible to think straight. She kept touching my arm, whispering jokes in my ear while our coworkers got around us. Walked me to my car. She asked when the night wound down. I knew I shouldn't. But I also knew I was going to. Her car was parked in the back corner of the parking garage. Dark, private. She leaned against the driver's door and looked at me with those eyes that made me feel like I was the only person who mattered. "I can't stop thinking about," she whispered. Her. Right there in the parking garage where anyone could have seen us. Her like I was drowning and she was air. We didn't go to her apartment that night. We went to a hotel. I paid cash and gave a name like some kind of criminal. Lying in that hotel bed afterward, staring at the ceiling while Emma traced patterns on my chest, I felt something break inside me. Not guilt. Not exactly, more like the last piece of who I used to be just died. "Should leave her," Emma said quietly. "Her not happy is too short. It's complicated," I mumbled, but the words felt hollow even as I said them. "Is it, or just scared?" I went home at midnight with a story about a client emergency. Sarah was asleep on the couch with her laptop still open, thesis notes scattered around her like confetti. She'd waited for me. I carried her to bed, tucked her in, and watched her sleep for an hour. She looked so peaceful. So, the engagement ring was 15 feet away in our shared dresser, waiting for a future I was systematically destroying. But I couldn't stop. Emma and I fell into a rhythm. Hotels twice a week. Texts throughout the day. A whole secret relationship that made my real feel like the lie. Sarah's birthday was coming. November 15th. I'd been planning something special for months. A surprise party with all her friends, then just the 2 of us for a romantic dinner where I'd finally propose. But Emma kept pushing. "Tell her about us. And this charade, no want to, after her birthday," I promised. "I can't her birthday," Emma looked. "So I'm the secret or ashamed of?" "It's not like that." "Then prove it. Come to my company's holiday party with me. As my date." "When is it?" "At November 15th. Sarah's birthday." I stared at Emma, feeling the last of my moral compass spin wildly before shattering completely. "I can't, it's my girlfriend's birthday, so choose," Emma said simply. "Her birthday party or our relationship, because I'm tired of being dirty little secret." I should have chosen Sarah without hesitation. Should have ended things with Emma right there and begged my girlfriend's forgiveness. Instead I heard say, "Give me a few days to figure this out." Emma smiled like she already knew she'd won. That night, I lay in bed next to Sarah listening to her breathe, knowing I was about to break the heart of the best person I'd ever known. And the worst part, November 15th, Sarah's 25th birthday. I woke that morning with the worst anxiety I'd ever felt. Sarah was already humming in the shower, completely unaware that her boyfriend had turned into someone she wouldn't recognize. "Morning, birthday girl," I said when she came out wrapped in a towel, hair dripping wet, smiling like the world was full of possibilities. "I can't believe I'm 25, she laughed, kissing my cheek. "I feel so old." I watched her get dressed for her morning classes, chattering about her thesis defense next month, how excited she was for whatever surprise I had planned. She trusted me completely. After 4 years together, the thought that I could betray her wasn't even on her radar. "I have to work late tonight," said the lie, sliding out so easily it scared me. "Client emergency. But I promise we'll celebrate this weekend. I have something really special planned." Sarah's face fell for just a second before she recovered. "On my birthday?" "Really? I'm sorry. Know how demanding this job is. I'll make it to, I swear." She nodded, but I saw the disappointment she was trying to hide. "Okay, maybe I'll just have dinner with my mom or something." "Perfect." That made the guilt easier to swallow. Emma had texted me the address of her company party, some fancy rooftop venue downtown. Can't wait to see tonight, she wrote. Wear the blue shirt I like. I spent the day at work unable to focus. My stomach was in knots, but I told this was necessary. This was me finally choosing happiness. Finally choosing someone who wanted me instead of someone who just tolerated me. At 3 p.m. Sarah texted, happy birthday to me. Got an A on my presentation today. We're here to celebrate with me. I stared at that text for 10 minutes before responding with a simple congrats. Proud of point. She deserved so much better than that lukewarm response on her birthday. But Emma was messaging me about what time to pick her, and suddenly Sarah's achievement felt like background noise. I left work at 5, went home to change into the blue shirt Emma liked. Sarah was still at the library. I'd be gone before she got home, clean getaway. But as I was walking out I saw it, a small wrap box on the kitchen counter with a note in Sarah's handwriting. Happy early birthday to me. Couldn't open the gift I bought. Thank for inspiring me to invest in my dreams. I love so much. Sigh, opened the box. It was a small silver bracelet with a tiny graduation cap charm. She'd bought herself a pre-graduation gift because she was proud of how hard she'd worked. Because she wanted to celebrate her achievements with someone. The note was dated 3 days ago. She'd been excited about this small thing for 3 days and I hadn't even noticed. I should have called Emma right then. Should have cancelled, rushed to the library, and taken Sarah out for the birthday dinner she deserved. Instead, I put the box back exactly where I found it and drove to Emma's apartment. Emma looked incredible. Red dress, perfect makeup, hair that probably took hours to style. She me like I was her real boyfriend, like we weren't built on lies and stolen moments. Look amazing. I told her and meant it. So do. Ready to show the world we're together. The party was everything Sarah would have hated. Loud music, pretentious people, overpriced drinks. But Emma fit right in, introducing me to her coworkers as my boyfriend, with a confidence that made me feel important. For 3 hours, I played house with someone else's, laughed at her boss's terrible jokes, danced with her on the crowded floor, let her post pictures of us to her social media. I felt alive in a way I hadn't in months. At 11 p.m. my phone rang. Sarah. I almost didn't answer. Emma was in the bathroom and I was 3 drinks in, feeling invincible. Hey, what's? I answered, stepping onto the quieter balcony. Hey, Sarah's voice was small, tired. I know working, but I had a really good day and wanted to hear voice. I missed on my birthday. The music from inside suddenly felt deafening. The city lights below looked like accusation. That's great. Tell me about it. She launched into a story about her study group surprising her with a cupcake, about her professor praising her this is progress, about how her mom had sent flowers to the library. Small sweet moments that made I was systematically abandoning. I love us, she said suddenly. I know things have been weird lately with us both being so busy, but I love so much. Know that, right? Emma appeared in the doorway behind me, tilting her head questioningly. Yeah, I love too, I said, but the words felt like they were coming from someone else's mouth. I can't wait to see what I've planned for this weekend. I've been so secretive lately. The ring. She thought I was planning something romantic. She thought the distance, the late nights, the distraction were all because I was planning to propose. I have to go, I said abruptly. Work stuff. Okay, happy birthday to me, she said with a little laugh that broke my heart. I hung and turned to find Emma watching me with an unreadable expression. Was that her? Yeah. And what? Gonna tell her about us. I looked at Emma standing there in her perfect red dress, offering me a where I felt wanted, desired, important. Then I thought about Sarah in our shared bed, probably wearing one of my old shirts, reading research papers with highlighters scattered around her like confetti. Yes, I said. This weekend, I'll tell her this weekend. Emma smiled and pulled me back inside for another dance. We went back to her apartment afterward. I stayed until 3 a.m. then drove home through empty streets, practicing what I would tell Sarah. How I would explain that I'd fallen out of love with her. That we'd grown apart. That it wasn't anyone's fault. All lies, but easier than admitting I'd thrown away 4 years for the thrill of being wanted by someone new. I got home to find Sarah asleep on the couch again, laptop open, surrounded by birthday cards from friends and family. She'd waited for me on her birthday and I'd spent it with another woman. I carried her to bed for what I knew would be the last time. She mumbled love in her sleep and curled into me like she had for 4 years. I lay awake until dawn, feeling like the worst person who had ever lived. Saturday morning came too soon. Sarah woke excited, asking about her birthday surprise. I'd cancelled everything, the dinner reservation, the surprise party. I was going to destroy her. We need to talk, I said over coffee. Her face went pale. That's never good, Sarah. I've been thinking a lot about us, about our relationship. Okay. Her voice was barely a whisper. I think we've grown apart. I think maybe we want different things. She stared at me like I was speaking a foreign language. What are you talking about? Yesterday told me love me. I do love. I'll always love. But I'm not in love with anymore. The words came out clinical, rehearsed, like I was reading from a script instead of ending the most important relationship of my. Sarah's coffee mug slipped from her hands and shattered on the kitchen floor. Neither of us moved to clean it. There's someone else, she said. It wasn't a question. I could have lied. Should have lied. Given her the dignity of thinking our relationship just ran its course naturally. Instead I nodded. The sound she made wasn't quite a sob, wasn't quite a scream, it was something deeper, something breaking at a cellular level. Oh. Emma. How long? A few weeks. How long? She repeated, and I knew she wanted the truth. 2 months. Sarah stood so fast her chair fell backward. Coffee and ceramics spread across the floor between us like a crime scene. 2 months. You've been lying to me for 2 months. Sarah, please, let me explain. 2 months of kissing me goodnight. 2 months of me making lunch, doing laundry, planning our future. 2 months of sleeping next to me while we're with someone else. Each word hit like a physical. I was gonna tell, one, after married her. After I more years on someone who doesn't respect me enough to break with me before finding someone new. I had no answer for that. Sarah went to our bedroom and came back with a small velvet box I recognized immediately. She placed it on the kitchen table between us. I found it last week, she said quietly. I've been walking around for 7 days thinking we're going to propose. Thinking love me enough to want forever with me. The ring sat there like an accusation. $4,000 I'd saved for 6 months. A future I'd destroyed for nothing. Get out. This is my apartment too. Jito, I'd never heard her scream before. Never seen her face twisted with that kind of rage and pain. I packed a bag and left. Didn't even know where I was going until I found at Emma's place. Did it, she said when she opened the door and saw my suitcase. Actually left her. I nodded, feeling empty instead of liberated. I'm so proud of. This is the start of something amazing, but as Emma all I could think about was the sound Sarah made when she realized I'd been cheating on her for 2 months. All I could see was that engagement ring sitting on our kitchen table, like evidence of everything I'd destroyed. Living with Emma should have been paradise. Finally being with someone who chose me, who wanted me there, who didn't see me as a burden or an obligation. It lasted exactly 3 weeks. The first appeared 4 days after I moved in. Emma's friend Casey came over, the one who'd been at the work party. So this is the guy stole from his girlfriend, Casey said, looking me and down like I was something she'd scraped off her shoe. I didn't steal anyone. Emma laughed. He made his choice. But I saw how Casey looked at her. Like Emma was someone who took things that didn't belong to her. Like this wasn't the first time. How long were they together? Casey asked. 4 years. Emma said casually like it was nothing. That's a long time to throw away. The conversation moved on, but that comment stuck with me. 4 years, 4 birthdays, 4 Christmases, 4 anniversaries. This I'd helped her research. A future we'd planned together, all of it discarded for what, exactly? I started noticing things about Emma I'd been too infatuated to see before. How she talked about her ex-boyfriends with casual cruelty. How she flirted with waiters while I was sitting right there. How she got bored easily and always needed to be the center of attention. That was still good. The excitement was still there. But living with someone is different than stealing moments with them. Living with someone means seeing who they are when they're not trying to impress. Emma left dirty dishes until they molded. She'd promised to pick groceries and then come home with just in makeup. She expected me to pay for everything because we're the one with the real job. But the worst part was how she talked about Sarah. I saw her at Target yesterday, Emma said one evening, painting her nails on my laptop while I was trying to work. She looked terrible. Like I almost felt bad for her. Saw Sarah. Yeah, she was in the pharmacy section. Buying tissues and ice cream. Emma laughed. Classic breakup shopping. The image of Sarah crying in Target, buying supplies to get through another night without me, made my chest feel hollow. Maybe don't tell me when see her, I said. Why are still hung on her? No, it's just, I don't need to know. Emma studied me with those sharp eyes that had first drawn me to her. Feel guilty. Of course I feel guilty. I'm not a monster. Guilt is useless. Made choice. She'll get over it. But she wasn't getting over it. I knew cause our mutual friends weren't speaking to me anymore. Because I'd had to delete my social media after the comments got too brutal. Because Sarah's best friend cornered me at the grocery store and told me exactly what I'd done to someone she loved. She's in therapy now, Jessica said, blocking my path to the checkout. Did know that. She can't sleep, can't eat, she keeps blaming herself, wondering what she did wrong to her. But did. For 2 months, came home to her every night after being with someone else. Let her plan a future with someone who had already left. Jessica's voice was shaking with rage. She loved completely. She trusted completely, and used that trust to make lying easier. I mumbled something about how these things happen, how people grow apart. No, Jessica, me off. People don't just grow apart. People make choices. Chose to betray someone who would have done anything for. Own that. She left me standing there in the cereal aisle, holding a basket full of groceries I didn't even want, feeling like everyone in the store could see what kind of person I really was. That night Emma wanted to go out to some trendy bar downtown. I wasn't in the mood, but she pouted until I agreed. I've been so weird lately, she said as we waited for our drinks. It's like you're not even here. She was right. I wasn't there. I was thinking about Sarah eating ice cream alone in her apartment. I was thinking about the engagement ring probably still sitting in some drawer. I was thinking about how I used to come home to someone who lit when I walked through the door. And now I came home to someone who barely looked from her phone. I'm fine, I lied. No, we're not. We're being all mopey and goody and it's honestly kind of pathetic. The word hit like I ended a 4-year relationship. I'm allowed to feel bad about it. Why? Weren't happy. Now problem solved. But was I happy? Looking around that crowded bar, watching Emma flirt with the tender while I sat there invisible again, I realized I felt exactly the same way I had with Sarah toward the end, lonely. Unimportant. Like I was just furniture in someone else's. The difference was that Sarah's distance had been temporary, caused by stress in school and pressures that would have passed. Emma's distance was who she was. She'd been performing for me during our affair, just like I'd been performing for her. 2 weeks later everything fell apart. I came home early from work to find Emma with her ex-boyfriend Marcus. They were sitting very close on my couch, his hand on her thigh, looking at photos on her phone. Oh hey, Emma said, not moving away from him. Marcus stopped by to pick some stuff he left here. Marcus looked at me with barely concealed contempt. So are the home wrecker? I'm sorry. Emma told me how two got together. Pretty man. I looked at Emma, waiting for her to defend me, to explain that it wasn't that simple. She just shrugged. It's not like it's a secret. Marcus stayed for another hour. The two of them reminiscing about their relationship while I sat there feeling like an intruder in my own temporary home. When he finally left I confronted Emma. What was that about? What about? He needed his stuff. Who called me a home wrecker and said nothing. I meant, technically. She gave me that smile that used to make me feel special and now just looked cruel. I left someone I love for Pi did. Or did leave her because wanted out and I was just convenient. The question hung in the air like smoke. Because deep down, I knew she was right. I hadn't left Sarah because I was bored, because I wanted to feel important, because the grass looked greener somewhere else. Emma had just been the excuse. We're done, I said. Excuse me. Us, we're done. Emma laughed, actually laughed. Can't be serious. Away and tired to be with me. Yeah, I did, and it was a mistake. So what, I'm gonna run back to her? Good luck with that. The thought had already crossed my mind. Crawl back to Sarah, beg forgiveness, promise to spend the rest of my making it to her. But Jessica's words echoed in my head. Sarah was in therapy. She was rebuilding herself after I'd torn her down. She deserved better than someone who would come crawling back only after his backup plan failed. I packed my bags that night and got a studio apartment across town. Emma didn't try to stop me. I think she was already texting Marcus before I finished loading my car. For 2 months, I lived like a ghost. Work, home, sleep, repeat, no friends left, no girlfriend, no future plans. Just the crushing weight of understanding that I destroyed the best thing in my for absolutely nothing. Sarah's birthday rolled around again, November 15th. 1 year since I'd chosen Emma's party over the person who loved me. I don't know what possessed me, maybe grief, maybe guilt, maybe the desperate need to believe I could fix something I'd broken. I drove to the bakery where I used to buy cupcakes when she was stressed about school. They had one slice of birthday cake left. Chocolate with vanilla frosting. Her favorite. It was snowing by the time I got to her apartment. Our old apartment. The place we'd shared for 2 years before I'd ruined everything. I sat in my car for an hour, holding that piece of cake, trying to find words that could somehow make this okay. Trying to figure out how to apologize for choosing someone else on her birthday. How to explain that I'd realized too late what I'd thrown away. Finally I got out of the car. The snow was coming down harder now, and I had to shield the cake with my jacket as I walked to her door. I knocked 3 times. Soft, then louder, then desperate. I heard footsteps inside. The peephole went dark for a long moment. Then the door opened. Sarah stood there in pajamas and a robe I'd given her for Christmas 2 years ago. She looked tired but healthy. Sadder but stronger. Like someone who'd been through and come out the other side. She looked at me for a long moment, at the snow in my hair, the cake in my hands, the desperation in my eyes. Then without saying a single word, she closed the door. I stood there for another 10 minutes, holding that piece of cake, listening to the silence from inside the apartment where we used to live together, where we used to plan our future, where I used to be wanted. Finally I walked back to my car and drove home through the snow, still carrying a birthday cake for someone who would never want to see me again. I hid in the dumpster behind my building and went upstairs to my empty apartment. That was 3 months ago. Sarah graduated last month. I know because Jessica posted pictures on social media before blocking me completely. Sarah looked radiant in her cap and gown, surrounded by people who loved her, people who hadn't betrayed her trust for a momentary thrill. I heard she's dating someone new. A guy from her graduate program who apparently worships the ground she walks on. Who sees what I was too to appreciate until it was gone. I'm glad she deserves someone who chooses her every single day, not just when it's convenient. Emma got back together with Marcus, by the way. I saw them at a coffee shop last week, her hand on his arm, laughing at something on his phone. She looked happy, genuinely happy in a way she never looked with me. I guess we both found what we were actually looking for. As for me, I wake every morning in an apartment that smells like regret and loneliness. I go to work where everyone knows what I did. I come home to silence and instant noodles and the crushing understanding that some mistakes don't get forgiven. Some bridges once burned can never be rebuilt. I don't deserve Sarah's forgiveness. I don't deserve her friendship. I don't even deserve her hatred, because that would require her to still think about me sometimes. The worst punishment isn't her anger. It's her indifference. It's the knowledge that she's built a beautiful without me in it, and she's better off for my absence. If we're reading this and thinking about stepping outside relationship, if we're telling it's just harmless flirtation, or that deserve better, or that not really happy, let me save the trouble. Don't deserve better if we're not willing to for what have, or not unhappy because of partner, or unhappy because of stop trying. And that person think want. They're probably just as flawed as are, just in ways haven't discovered yet. I had someone who loved me unconditionally, and I'd away because I was bored. Now I'm 27 years old, living alone, eating birthday cake out of a dumpster in the snow, and finally understanding what loneliness actually feels like.